Mr Speaker, I rise to take the second short call for the Greens on the Budget Measures Financial Support for Newborn Children Bill. Mr Speaker, we support this bill. We believe that it doesn't go far enough, and I'll get into a bit more detail on that in a minute, but we don't believe it goes far enough. In terms of the tax credit changes, we do support increasing the length of time that the tax credit is extended to, from 8 weeks to 10 weeks after the birth of a child, and increasing the amount from $150 to $220 per week. But we do acknowledge and we do note that the application is much tighter than it had been. Mr Speaker, our policy has been to extend that tax credit to all, because targets not just those in work. It targets not just those in work, but those who have the lowest incomes, and those are the people who are existing on the meagre benefits provided by the state. All families, Mr Speaker, face financial burden when a new baby enters the family, and those with less money struggle more. They have less resilience to the financial shock that the entry of a newborn makes into a family, and the costs that they bring with them. This government, with this budget, is picking the winners and the losers. And this budget is firmly directed at the winners, the 1%. By restricting the tax credit just to working families, the government introduces the Dickensian model of the worthy and the unworthy poor. And it fits with the other measures that this government has introduced, which demonise those who are not in paid work and reinforces the punitive approach that this government takes to those who need state support. Mr Speaker, if we are to address the income levels and the financial strain that families face when they have a newborn baby, then all people need to be able to live on the income that they receive. And we need to get past these stopgap measures. Mr Speaker, in the regulatory impact statement, it says that poverty is one of the greatest risks to children's health and development. It says reducing parental stress, especially in the early years, is good for children in the short and the longer term. And Mr Speaker, these measures are short-term measures. And why are they being put in place now? Well, I have to say I'm a bit cynical about that. These measures are being pushed through under urgency, yet these will not be introduced in terms of the paid parental leave. It won't be introduced until 2015, which will up paid parental leave to 16 weeks then, and then in 2016, up paid parental leave to 18 weeks. We suspect the urgency is deliberate to get this wee scrap of support for families through just before the elections. And of course, as we saw with the filibustering that occurred from the national members of Parliament during the first reading of Sue Moroney's parental leave, 6-month paid leave amendment bill, the national government are keen to avoid the displeasure of the 52% of women voters by directly opposing the measure to extend parental leave. And judging by the flood of submissions that Sue Moroney's bill received, that bill was incredibly popular. There was, of course, too, the small matter that the Honourable Peter Dunn had signalled that he would be supporting the members' bill, so some concessions had to be made now in order to avoid him forcing the government to threaten a veto once the bill was won, because, as we've got a surplus with this budget, there would be no reason for that veto after all. Mr Speaker, I have more to say, and I will be rising during the Committee of the Whole House to do that. Thank you.
Jamie Lee Ross.
Mr Speaker, New Zealanders are very smart. New Zealanders are very understanding.